All right, Jackson, Mississippi. Welcome to the Save Jackson podcast, episode number 7, where living in Jackson, Mississippi is like having to dodge not one but two pandemics in 2020. Of course, you have COVID and you also have Jacksonians sitting at 116 murders for the year with no end in sight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to mix things up a little bit this week. This is your host, Clay Edwards. My lovely wife, Crystal, is doing some things around the house, so I have locked myself in the Save Jackson bunker here in the USA Pawn Studios at our palatial South Jackson estate. So let's just jump straight in. We want to thank our sponsors, USA Pawn. Check them out online at usapawn.com. You can visit one of their 6 metro area locations, including the largest pawn shop in the state of Mississippi, right there at the McDowell Road exit. Also, Ellis Avenue and Woodrow Wilson in Jackson, Pearson Road in Pearl, Peace Street in Canton, and Warrenton Drive in Vicksburg. Again, check them out online at usapawn.com. They have their 10-10-10 layaway special going on right now. 10% down, 10% per month, 10 months to pay on expensive items like jewelry and whatnot. So again, check out USA Pawn. Tell them that Save Jackson sent you. All right, let's just jump straight in here. The COVID numbers. So I went back and figured up the COVID numbers for the last 15 days. I'm recording this on Sunday morning. Well, I say Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon around 1:30 p.m. on November 22nd. And the COVID numbers as they sit for the entire state. In the last 15 days, we've had 17,522 new cases of COVID and 259 deaths. So if you're wondering at home, wow, man, that's a lot. How many people live in Mississippi? Well, glad you asked. Right under, just a shade under 3 million people live in the state of Mississippi. So that is pretty much 0.06% of the population has caught COVID, allegedly, in the last 15 days, with 259 COVID-related deaths. As we all know, that COVID-related does not mean COVID-caused. So y'all please keep that in mind. That's going to be important. And with that said, I'm having a very hard time at this point in the game believing that these face masks work. Now, I've been skeptical, openly skeptical, loudly skeptical about face masks and how ridiculous the thought of them working actually is, unless you're wearing the N9s or whatever they're called that the medical professionals wear, or even the type of body and paint people wear, or people that go and work in hazardous environments and whatnot. There's no way that this escaped from a level 9 virology lab in Wuhan, China, with people wearing nuclear outfits and all that good stuff, and we somehow think it's going to prevent us from getting it because we wear a little paper or cloth mask. I understand you think you're doing good. And look, if you want to wear your mask, wear your mask. But I bet the same people who are berating people for not wearing their mask are also the same people who don't wear their seatbelts when they drive. So speaking of face masks and people not minding their own business, a state representative, Jeremy Anderson, decided to tell Governor Tate Reeves that we should have a statewide mandate. You can see this story on WLBT.com. I'm going to read you a little quote of the tweet. Anderson put on Twitter, "Wear a mask, Governor Tate Reeves. We're in a crisis. We need another statewide mask order. Roll back the reopenings of bars, clubs, and indoor dining at restaurants and restrict sporting events. Hundreds of Mississippians will die if we continue to fail at mitigating #COVID. Man, again, wouldn't it just be crazy if the people who are worried about it would just stay home? Quarantine yourself. The people who want to risk their lives or just live their life can continue to do so without being berated for doing so. I don't understand why we all have to subject ourselves to your same rules and tyrannical regulations like California, New York, Washington State, and all these other liberal shitholes. This is Mississippi, not California. Please make a note and reference this podcast anytime you have a question about that, or go to my Save Jackson page, DM me. My email is savejackson@gmail.com. I will gladly remind you this is Mississippi, not California, not Oregon, not Portland, not any of these other crazy places with these crazy laws. We are not a tyrannical government. We are Mississippi. We are a red state. Please make note, reference back. I have the Constitution as my permission slip to do anything I want to do within the letter of the law. So now that we have an understanding of freedom of choice and tyranny, I want to talk about a great locally owned restaurant here, Cerami's Italian Restaurant. They've been open forever. I've known Fred for decades. Took his limo on a ride to New Orleans for a Saints game one time, 2 days before Hurricane Katrina. Got back and woke up on my couch just to find out the hurricane was heading straight to the Superdome. It was the last game in the Superdome before Katrina and all of the horrible things that happened down there. And it's the only Saints game I've ever been to, actually. So pretty unique thing there. His daughter Alyssa is running the restaurant now, and they have taken the freedom of choice and have applied it here. They are closing the restaurant down temporarily to help flatten the curve. And they've had some COVID positive stuff around them and exposure and whatnot. So they are closed from yesterday, Saturday, November 21st, and they will be reopening on Tuesday, December 1st. I'm going to read their exact word-for-word press release here. It says, "It is with a long thought process and frustrated mind to have to inform you that we will be closed Saturday, November 21st through Monday, November 30th, reopening Tuesday, December 1st. With a major influx of positive COVID cases that we have seen come across us, we feel it the responsible move to pull the reins back. We have to do our part to slow this down. We know we are not the cure, but we want to be a part of the solution. Thanksgiving weekend is the perfect week to reflect on our duty to mankind, our family, and our community to provide a healthy and safe environment. We are looking forward to a cheerful and busy Christmas holidays. God bless all you Ceramites, and thank you for your understanding and support. Happy Thanksgiving, Alyssa, Cerami, and staff." So I really commend Alyssa and the entire Cerami staff for being responsible and taking it upon themselves to do what they feel like they need or want to do to flatten the curve and feel safe and make it a safe environment for their families, their staff, their customers, their families. I have zero problem with that, and that's why I wanted to highlight them. I'm not about shutdowns and lockdowns. I probably would not shut down if I was a business owner, but I'm not right now, so I don't want to put myself in their shoes. But that is a good example of somebody making the choice on their own. That's what she felt like was best for her business. So I also want to highlight another business that has taken an, albeit a different approach, still very transparent and proactive approach, but staying open because, hey, that's their choice. Again, the difference in tyranny and freedom. So I want to give a shout out to Melissa Kirksey and her crew over at BB's Live, also known as Bonnie Blair's. I'm going to read you their statement directly from their Facebook page. It said, "BB's Live, staying alive. We here at BB's Live would like to take a moment of your time. We may want to say thank you to all of our guests and to our community for all you do for us. We would not be here if not for you. This is why it is so very important to all of us at BB's to make sure you're aware of the measures we are taking to ensure your safety and well-being, as well as that of our staff. In complete transparency, we have had 2 positive cases of COVID among our staff recently, and those 2 share a home together. We have had the rest of our staff tested several times over the last few weeks to ensure that we do not have anyone coming to work who is positive, even if asymptomatic. We have implemented professional sanitation to keep our establishment safe. Everyone's health is paramount, and we want you to know that we will continue to incorporate all necessary measures to keep our staff and guests out of harm's way. As always, we thank you for all of your continued support." Now, albeit a completely different route than what Cerami's chose to do, BB's decided to stay open while Cerami's decided to close temporarily. And that's what's so great about America. And that's why I wanted to highlight these 2 businesses. They're both located over in the Flowood area, or the reservoir side of Brandon, however you want to say that. Locally owned, female owned, which I think is awesome. And they're both being very transparent and upfront, and they're giving their customers the options. Well, BB's is giving their customer the option to come or not come, but they're being 100% transparent. Cerami's is being a little more proactive and siding with the safety side of things a little bit more and deciding not to open. And look, whatever it is they want to do, It is their choice. And I believe you have enough responsible business owners out there that can make these decisions on their own. They do not need Big Brother, the government, or anybody else coming in and telling them, nope, you got to shut down. It's all or nothing. In closing, if you're looking for one of the best sports bars and the premier live music venue in Rankin County, check out BB's Live. Melissa Kirksey and crew are absolutely amazing individuals. Love those folks. And if you're looking for amazing Italian food and steaks and stuff of that nature, check out Cerami's Italian Eatery right there on Lakeland Drive heading up towards Castlewoods. They're both on Facebook. They're both online. Amazing folks, locally owned, locally operated, high quality stuff, great individuals. Well, speaking of great individuals, if you live in the Tri-County area and you need somebody to come and take care of your lawn, cut it, trim it, manicure it, anything of that nature, give Danny White a call at Father and Son Southern Lawn Care. You can reach Danny at 601-301-3210. One more time, 601-301-3210. That's Father and Son Southern Lawn Care. You can also check them out online at fatherandsonlawnservice.org. They're always doing great stuff in the community, very charity minded, great people, lifelong citizen of South Jackson, still lives over here just like I do and does his part to save Jackson as well as his sanity every day living around here. Our next subject here is about Jackson Public Schools and their upcoming spring semester. After closing to go fully virtual for all the fall semester and putting the area's most at-risk youth in the worst possible schooling situation and safety situation, frankly, they've decided they screwed up and they can no longer politicize school, and they feel like they've done their part to get Joe Biden elected. So it's like, hey, let's open back up. Everything's good. Look, I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time discussing these idiots because I have minimal hope for these kids at this point due to the terrible leadership and their politicization of their education. And I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast and that follow Save Jackson don't actually live in Jackson. Most of y'all used to live here and don't anymore. So what happens at JPS, you feel like probably doesn't directly affect you. But rest assured, it directly affects all of us. Not to be all cheesy here and quote an 80s song, but I do believe that children are our future. And you damn well better too. So the better educated and better and best prepared these children are for their future affects all of us. We should be raising 7 levels of holy hell about what's going on in JPS. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but mark my words, this will come back to haunt all of us. Speaking of terrible, tyrannical decisions made by horrible leaders and politicians, I saw, I'm sure you've all seen where governors and mayors across the country are basically canceling Thanksgiving. And of course, our valiant leader, Chokwe Lumumba, had to chime in as well. It blows my mind. Now, he says he's not going to cancel. Let's see, I got the quote here. Chokwe comes just short of signing an executive order to cancel Thanksgiving. Basically says, and shocker, people still have to pay bills whether they're locked down or not. Well, paint me shot. Me and Chokwe actually damn agree on something because that's the point, bruh. People can't pay their bills if they're locked down and they're not getting reimbursed for it. Now, I did see where Bernie Sanders came out today and said everybody needs to get $2,000 a month. I mean, look, I'll take an extra $2,000 if you're sending it out. I mean, if you're going to pay it to people who don't earn it, I might as well take mine. But man, come on, guys, just let us work. Do your job as a politician and lure some business to Jackson. Make it a safe place. Get us more police. These are simple things. I got a letter today from somebody wanting a donation for quality of lifing police. Shit, I'd pay it if I knew it was going to go to work around here. But we know it's not, and it's just some scam to probably pay for something out of state. Speaking of that, so I'm sure a lot of you, well, speaking of scams and craziness, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the left becoming completely unhinged over the thoughts that they may have won the election, yet to be determined. And they're already talking about sending conservatives to re-education camps and blacklisting us and all these crazy things. I mean, I basically feel like they want to put me on a one-way train to a camp to never come home. And of course, it did not take long for our local antagonist, our very own Donna Ladd over at the Jackson Free Press, to write up a op-ed titled The Joy and Pain of Fighting for U.S. Democracy. And this is just one long virtue signal, but I'm going to read you just a shade of it because, it's good that you guys know where I stand. And I'm glad that Donna lets us know where she stands. But just in case you don't know, I'm going to tell you. And I quote, "The scenes were joyful, far from civil unrest, riots, and looting that too many of our leaders, especially in Mississippi, have managed to call the remarkable display of solidarity this year against continuing and embedded systemic racism. Yes, it's real. And violent policing that has often threatened black and brown people like animals. Yes, sometimes white ones too, but not nearly as often or as systemically. But this past weekend," well, you know what? Let me stop right there. Bullcrap. Gonna sit there. You can turn on any TV, and there's buildings and cities burning down. I mean, look at Minnesota. Look at Wisconsin. Look at parts of Atlanta. Cities on fire. People burning their own cities down, with the media standing right there saying peaceful protest. You're damn right it was looting and rioting and all this other stuff. It wasn't no peaceful protest, my ass. The irony about the only peaceful protest in all of them was the one here in Jackson. So kudos to Jacksonians for doing something peaceful for once. Anyway, continued. But this past weekend, with the presidential race, when the presidential race was finally called due to both electoral votes, well, this sure didn't age well, and real people votes mounting against incumbent wannabe dictator Donald Trump, people danced and rang church bells across the world. Well, first off, we know liberals don't ring church bells, but I digress. My favorite were the celebrants at the Los Angeles gas station we saw on Twitter dancing with abandon to Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas. So, well, shocker. So many things are true about last week's dethroning of a horrific, callous, brutal president. Those truths transcend blind political party devotion into an effort by intelligent Americans who think by themselves beyond party to rid the nation of a man who likely would fully destroy our democracy. Well, first off, we are not a democracy. We are a republic. But that's another story for another day. With another 4 years. Hell, with another 4 months. Black women especially were the real heroes of this ousting. Well, she didn't see Jamel Hill's comments. She blames white men. I mean, if you're going to blame white men for when you thought he was going to lose, you got to blame white men for him winning, right? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Anyway, so black women especially were the real heroes of this ousting. But so were the minority of white Republicans who dared look clearly at the emperor and acknowledge that he is stark naked of any real devotion to democracy and decency. She apologizes for creating that image. Continuing, for me, that relief was palpable and physical, but not partisan. By Sunday, I could feel pent-up stress releasing from my forehead and from my shoulders, and I was more tired mentally than I had felt since the aftermath of surgeries in recent years. Our nation is suffering from PTSD, no doubt. So many of us wake up and look at our phones with fear of what deplorable actions Trump has taken overnight, or what dehumanizing, loathsome insults he has lodged at someone who might disagree with him. Always more despicable if a woman and or person of color, of course. That is not true. She's so crazy. Christians Today editor-in-chief Mark Galley explained why magazine Billy Graham started believes Donald Trump is unfit to remain president. But here's the thing. Donald Trump is just one man. You see, here's where they come off the rails and they basically call us all Nazis. And you know what they want to do with Nazis? The real threat is the terrifying number of Americans who dote on him no matter what he does. His supporters are often described as a cult, and it's hard to disagree with that much of the time. But like with any cult, he doesn't actually care about them. He cares about himself and absolute power. This is as obvious as blood is red. Still, like many abuse victims, Many keep going back, believing the lies he tells, to woo them the way he makes their unresolved prejudices great again, buying that if they support him long enough, the whole nation will be forced to think like they do. They don't stop to think what will happen to all those who disagree with him and them, like those young people dancing joyously in the street to a Christmas song, who could be their children or grandchildren. It's like being in denial about the severity and science of COVID-19 or climate change, as they both endanger all of our futures. Live for the day, damn it all, MAGA, she screams. These folks have put democracy to the side if they truly ever believed in it. To many, freedom means the right to tell everyone else how to live, love, and think. They're not content to believe their own stuff, but intent on pushing those convictions onto others. Often it's proselytizing in the name of Christianity, but hateful beliefs and judgment of others is far from what Jesus would do. In Donald Trump's case, his moralizing only goes as far as the nearest porn star or woman he can grab, belittle, or terrorize without their consent. Now, of course, we see Trump's minions, I refuse to call them Republicans or Christians, marching out by demand to help him attempt a coup against the duly elected new president. This would be the end of U.S. democracy if they managed to pull it off, but they don't care. Somehow, they think following this man around like a ravenous zombie will get them into some mean version of heaven, or at least keep their massive tax breaks if they're rich, or as if it were to keep white people in power. And please don't try to tell me that a lily white party that panders to white supremacists is anything but racist. Trump is the latest politician to spread vicious lies and fear about people of color. Look, I promise we're almost through here, but I think it's just very important to read this whole thing to y'all. Just a couple more paragraphs. Quote, this parade of sycophants even include Lynn Fitch, the Attorney General of Mississippi, who is joining other obedient attorney generals in various states to try to steal Pennsylvania electoral votes for Trump, saying that state shouldn't count votes that came in after Election Day, even as we're still counting them in Mississippi. Seriously, General Fitch, this is the rusty sword you want to leap on for prosperity. I assure you that your descendants will be ashamed to see you in the history books for playing a handmaid against democracy. Another nearby state representative, former farmer Price Wallace, did acknowledge that Biden-Harris win, tweeting, "We need to succeed from the Union and form our own country. We see you, Rep. Wallace. We see you." All of this is painful to watch, but it cannot steal my joy over a record number of people transcending partisanship to vote to replace a tyrant aching to blow up democracy. But this is a moment, or maybe the moment, for our nation to test and see if we mean all those evident truths we all learned to recite in school enough to do what it takes to maintain the right to even pursue liberty in this situation, which I love dearly, not because of what it is or has been, but because of its possibility. In fact, Todd and I have been talking about whether to replace the defiant Stennis flag we started flying a few years ago back with the new state flag. He doesn't dig the yellow, and the magnolia, bless its heart, makes me think of Scarlett O'Hara posing on her veranda, and not fondly, but we're happy it's now official. Well, hey, you got to fly the damn flag. If you're going to fly a flag, you got to fly the state flag. That's what y'all keep telling everybody else. So you're going to fly the damn state flag, or you're not going to fly one at all. Or if you're going to fly a version of the state flag. Anyhow, but on Sunday, as we set out on our walk, I told him I thought we should kick it old school and replace our flag with the American Stars and Stripes. Let's hope Old Glory doesn't soon become as dated as our Stennis banner and the 1890s racist flag. It won't if we all fight for democracy like there's no tomorrow without it, because there's really not. Brought to you by Donna Ladd. So I find it funny that liberals suddenly love the American flag again, but if you were flying one in certain towns around here over the last few years, they would burn your damn house down and steal your flag and burn it. Furthermore, she called all of us minions and sits there and yelps about racism, religion, tyranny, stealing elections. Oh, that is rich. Talking about stealing elections, you got to be kidding me. Now, this is about a week old, so maybe Donna chose to not pay attention to what's been going on with Dominion and all of that stuff. So I definitely want to see her retraction. I'm going to tell y'all, I cannot wait for Donald Trump to win this thing, whether it be in courts or whatever, by proving that cheating was done at an industrial rate. And they keep saying, there's no proof. There's no proof. No, you choose not to look at the proof. There's a big difference in no proof and you not believing the proof. But there is proof. There are signed affidavits. We're talking about a whole bunch of people that believed fairy tales about Russia and hookers and peeing on people and all this other stuff. I'd never heard the word dossier until liberals made it up trying to say something about Donald Trump. But you know, just like I know, this has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is about us. They do not like us. And you may say to yourself, who is us, Clay? Well, I'm glad you asked. Because to me, it's people who say all lives matter, even the unborn. People who don't want our politics mixed with our sports and entertainment. People who do not support Marxism and fascism. People who have zero interest in socialism. People who believe in giving a hand up, not a handout. People who stand for our flag and only kneel for our Lord and Savior. People who support our police and military. People who do not burn down our own or anyone else's neighborhood anytime something happens we don't agree with. People who don't cheat to steal elections. People who don't cry racism at anyone we disagree with. People who don't attack people for their political or religious beliefs, and people who do not fly planes into buildings. We're people who put our grocery carts back up in the place where we got them from instead of leaving them in the middle of the parking lot at the grocery store when we're done using them. We believe we're taxed enough already, and we do not virtue signal or believe that minorities need our help to be successful, which in my opinion is the ultimate definition of white supremacy. We're people who believe that we are absolutely American supremacists, and we can do anything better than anybody else in this world. And if you got a problem with that, Jack, then so be it. I am an American supremacist, and you should be too. Well, now that we got that out of the way, if there's any misunderstandings about where I stand, you should be in the clear now. We support police. We support America. We support everybody of all races, religious backgrounds, and ethnic backgrounds. So look, we're going to do something next that I came up with. People always ask me, well, Clay, what do you do to save Jackson? Why do you call your page Save Jackson? I understand that the fact that a white conservative runs a page called Save Jackson, that it really, really agitates a lot of minorities and Democrats that I do this. But hey, I live here, I pay taxes, and this is my right to do so. It's just as it's your right to get aggravated that I do so. So I came up with a list of I call it the 17 pillars of things you can do to save Jackson without actually having to do anything. And before I do that, I want to give a shout out to my last sponsor. That would be the Gym at Byram. Be sure to check out the Gym at Byram at thegymatbyram.com. They are located at 136 Byram Parkway in Byram, Mississippi. You can give them a call at 601-372-2229, or you can do a virtual tour online at thegymatbyram.com, or once again, give them a call at 601-372-2229 to schedule an in-person walk around, or just show up. They have 24-hour access, a pool, tanning, tennis, indoor basketball, women's training room, personal trainers, and more. Again, thegymatbyram.com. Tell them that Save Jackson sent you. So these are the 17 things that you as an individual can do to save Jackson without actually having to do anything. Just as a normal day-to-day citizen, these are the things you can do. Number 1, love Jesus and go to church. Number 2, finish high school, or at least get a GED and a VOTEC certification of some sort. It will do you wonders as you go on. It'll teach you how to start, finish, and accomplish goals. Do not have a baby out of wedlock. Preferably not before you're 25 years old, even if you do get married. Be done with college. Be into your career. This will make a huge difference. Trust me on this one. Number 4, avoid going to nightclubs. You'll regret it later. Trust me, I owned them for 15 years, and if I could take it all back, I would. 5, do not do drugs and do not sell drugs. Plain and simple. Avoid drugs. I can't make it any easier than that. This also will make a huge difference and doesn't cost you anything. You just don't do it. Number 6, don't rob, steal, or kill anybody. This is very important. Hear me again. Do not rob, do not steal, do not kill. This will make a huge difference in actually saving the lives of the citizens in Jackson, Mississippi. If you don't kill them, they can live to work and play another day. Number 7, if you know college isn't for you, don't go. Don't waste the time. Don't take on the debt. Learn a trade. Become an electrician, a mechanic, a plumber, a body shop guy. Get into automotive sales. Learn how to be a salesman. Learn how to look people in the eye and learn the gift of gab. These are careers that can easily be 6-figure incomes and also deemed essential during the times of COVID. All right, number 8, respect law enforcement. Learn how to act when you get pulled over so you can go home alive. It's always better to have to get out of jail than to become a hashtag. Bond is cheaper than a funeral. Number 9, stay out of the system. Start by getting and maintaining your driver's license and make sure your tag and insurance is up to date on your car. Because once they get you sucked in, it's hard to get out. I can't emphasize that enough. Stay out of the system and start by getting and maintaining your driver's license. Number 10, get a part-time job. If you're young, get a part-time job. McDonald's is a great place to work. It teaches you teamwork. And I'm going to tell you, as somebody who's been in charge of hiring at big companies, it looks great on your resume. People look at it and say, hey man, if they were at McDonald's for a year or so, they can definitely do this job for however long. All right, that was number 10. Get a part-time job. Number 11, and this is very important, do not mess up your credit trying to buy stuff to impress people that you don't even like and that don't even like you. I'm telling you, watch your credit and save your money. Start a savings account early. Again, this is something you can do that only affects you. It doesn't cost you anything. It's actually the complete opposite. It saves you money, and it will save you a lifetime of money if you don't screw your credit up when you're able to get good interest rates at places. All right, number 12, see something, say something. It could save you or your family's life. It absolutely is okay to be a snitch. I'm just going to tell you. I know they tell you don't snitch, but at the condition that Jackson is in, we need some people stepping up. You're not a snitch. You be a damn hero telling the police and helping them get some of these killers and drug dealers and murderers off the streets. Number 13, this is easy here. Volunteer. Get up with your local charity, church, youth group, anything like that, and just volunteer to help. It goes a long way. Teaches you great life lessons as well. Number 14, don't litter. Just pick up trash when you see it. Really simple. Put your grocery cart back when you go to the grocery store. These are little things that will teach you valuable life lessons. And I can't emphasize these little lessons enough about just humanity and thinking about other people. Trust me on this. If you've ever worked at a grocery store, you know what I'm talking about. Number 15, if you're 18 or older, quit voting for the same idiots over and over, expecting a different result. That's the definition of insanity. Don't vote for anyone whose platform is false claims of racism and promises of free stuff like college, healthcare, and welfare. Basically, don't be a Democrat. I don't know any other way to say it. Do not be a Democrat. Vote conservative. If you guys will do these things for 5 years, Jackson will be saved, businesses will come back, and it will be a great place to live. But I got 2 more things I want to add to it. Number 16, get you some friends with different political opinions, different racial backgrounds, different everything. It will do so much for you. Little things. If you're white, get you some black friends. If you're black, get you some white friends. If you're other minority races, get you some different friends. I don't know any other way to say it. It'll teach you that there is no grand boogeyman out there trying to get you. White people, it'll show you that black people aren't all fitting the stereotype that the media would have you believe. Black people, it'll have you understand that white people aren't all white supremacists and out to get you. Nothing bad can come from having friends different than yourself. Trust me, it's gotten me a long way in life. Last but not least, this is the easiest one. Number 17, Be kind. Just be kind. What is the worst that can happen if you're just not a dick? Not much. Nothing bad can happen. People will like you. And nothing can be wrong with people liking you. Those are the Save Jackson 17 pillars to Save Jackson. Really easy. These are just things that any normal citizen of any municipality should be doing anyway. If you're doing these things, your life will be a lot easier, and Jackson will save itself. It won't need any outside help. It will auto-correct. It's like if you cut a tree down or cut a branch off a tree, it grows back. You cut the grass, it grows back. It will just naturally come back. Trust me on this. It happens in other places. So, ending, I would like to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedule to listen to my ramblings. I hope you enjoyed this. Please share it with anybody. Please make sure you're following me on all social media and video platforms. It's simple. It's Save JXN. We're very active on Parler, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram. Again, Save JXN. My personal email address is savejxn@gmail.com, or you can send me a direct message from any of our social media platforms. Again, we want to thank our sponsors, USA Pawn, the gym at Byram, and Father and Son Southern Lawncare. Be sure to check them all out online or in person. Thank you and have a blessed day.